ladies and sluts. Andy here, author of The Best Tinder Guide on the internet and guy who has just found absolute evidence that the US government is lying about aliens. This is the Kill You're in a Loser show. Let's fucking go. I am joined by my co-host, my slut, should we say, Mrs. Imogen, otherwise known as Immy, the slut. And the reason that I'm saying slut so much is we need to talk about sluts, guys. We need to talk about the word slut. People overuse the word slut, and I'm sure there's a caveat that you would like to give at the start of this podcast, isn't there? Because you told me there was.
Yeah, it's that I don't particularly like that word, just because I don't think it's very nice. I think it's used in quite a hateful way.
It is, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. That's because I was reading an article about how to find a good woman, and they had a lot of good points that I agreed with, like basically don't date a crazy bitch. That was most of it. Don't date a chick who's an asshole, which I agree with. I think that the world has too many assholes and we probably want to boycott them. So boycott your local assholes today.
Yeah, because the article did start out very common sense.
Yeah.
It made a lot of sense. It was like, don't date somebody that says things that lead you on, or they don't answer your questions properly, and then it
they're just horrible to you in public, which I agree with all of that.
Yeah, but then it breaks into this obvious anyway, you can continue.
Slut hate.
Yeah.
And so one of the points that they then said was, and basically don't date sluts. If a girl has sex with you and they used the word slut. If a girl has sex with you within 4 dates, they said, she's a slut and you want to avoid her at all costs. And I want to talk about how guys who use the word slut or have a fear of sluts, let's just say it like that. And by the way, slut isn't a word that I use either because it just doesn't fucking mean anything. And we're going to talk about this in a second. Generally, when people use the word slut, it's kind of one of those catch-all phrases. And what I have boiled it down to is it usually means that you are insecure, and I'm not just saying that to be inflammatory and annoying. You're insecure about how much sexual experience she has because it's a reflection on your own lack of sexual experience. Every guy I know, every guy that I have ever met, every client that I've ever worked with, every friend I've ever had who gets laid a lot gets to a point where he doesn't care about the word fucking sluts. He doesn't give a shit how much sexual experience a girl has. Now, some guys like girls with less sexual experience because it can be fun to teach a new girl, new tricks. Some guys like girls with more sexual experience because it's easier to have sex with them, generally speaking. They're usually going to be a bit more chill about sex. They're not so uptight and puritanical. But every guy I know that gets laid a lot doesn't use the word slut. It's a word that doesn't fucking mean anything. And he definitely isn't insecure about how much sexual experience a girl has had. Is there anything you want to add?
I will just say slut is also a very vague
It doesn't
word,
mean anything.
because someone who's ultra conservative will say that having sex before marriage makes you a slut.
Yes.
And some people would say that I'm a slut because we have sex with other girls.
We talk about sex and
together. Mm-hmm. And then someone will also say that, I've had 20 casual sexual experience, but that doesn't make me a slut. And you have to have you can have as much sex as you want and you're not a slut because for whatever reason. It's so vague. And when you call someone a slut, that doesn't mean anything. And we talk a lot about how people use words that don't really mean anything.
Yeah, it's one of my pet peeves. People using a word that's just vague and they mean something else, but they use this catch-all term because they haven't thought through enough. And I think that's my main contention, or the main reason I don't like the word slut, or I don't use the word slut. And anytime someone does use the word slut, my brain immediately goes, okay, you're 40 IQ, you're operating on a lower level, you haven't actually thought through the thing that's really bothering you here. Because you and I were talking, when guys use the word slut, it's a very loaded term. And there's a lot of emotion behind it. And guys seem to have a very visceral reaction to a girl that they deem a slut, in a way that they don't with other things. Like, other things are deemed preferences. Like, I have a guy that I'm working with right now who doesn't like a certain type of woman, and he's very vocal about that. And the way he says it, he's very chill. He's like, I just don't like those kind of girls. Rather than like, no, those girls are bad. I got to avoid them at all costs. They're just, they're the downfall of Western fucking society. Like, he doesn't talk like that. Guys that don't like girls with tattoos, which is plenty of guys, they'll just say like, I don't think I'd ever date with a girl with tattoos. It's not really my thing. I'm just not attracted. It's very rational. It's very logical. It's just like, no, I don't like those kind of girls. Fair enough. Some
Yeah.
people don't like black chicks. Some people don't like tall girls. Some people don't like, different preferences. Some people don't like lawyer chicks. Some people don't like feminists. But it's not coming from this like very loaded emotional place. But when you say you don't like sluts, it is.
Yeah, that's part of why I said I don't necessarily like the word, because
Yeah.
unless it's women that are like reclaiming the word and like, I'm a slut and I love it, like that sort of thing. For the most part, it's used in a very hateful way. Similarly, I think maybe how women might use the word like, he's a fuckboy. Like that's
Yeah, I
it's
hate the word fuckboy for the same reason that
it's the same
triggers me.
thing.
That
It's a very
triggers me like hell.
hateful.
Yeah.
word.
And it's coming from a place of insecurity or frustration or bitterness. So guys, if you don't like the word fuckboy, or if you think the word fuckboy or douchebag or asshole is overused and girls just say it when you don't do what they want, which they generally do, that is when you'll hear it. It's when you didn't do what she wanted, like she wanted commitment or something, and she calls you, oh, you're such a fuckboy or creep.
I was just about to say creepy.
You guys fucking hate the word creep. I hate the word fucking creep. Every time you use the word slut, you are using the female equivalent of the word creep. And think how much you fucking hate the word creep and how it doesn't mean anything. It literally doesn't mean anything. It just means she didn't like how you acted, what you said. But then the girl next to her, you'll do the same shit and she'll go, oh my God, you're so funny. Oh, you're such a fucking alpha male. Please put your little alpha cock, sorry, your big alpha cock in my little beta pussy. I've got a beta female pussy. Please fuck it. So creepy doesn't mean anything. Slut doesn't fucking mean anything. And just like when a girl says creepy or fuckboy or any of these kind of words, she's not actually expressing what she really means. She's dodging it. The same thing with sluts. Now, what you are... the actual truth behind it, because I was someone that used the word sluts and I didn't like sluts. I felt very personally fucking attacked by sluts. I felt very insecure by sluts. And every time I'm saying sluts, imagine I'm air quoting that. I can't be bothered doing that this whole fucking podcast. But for me, I felt very insecure with the word sluts or around sluts because I wasn't happy with my own sexual experience. And so I would see a girl that had had a lot of sexual experience and I'd think, she's probably fucked a guy who's better looking than me. She's probably fucked a guy with a bigger dick than me. She's probably fucked a guy who will, fuck her better than I ever could. He's probably cooler than me. She's probably fucked a guy richer than me.
It might even be worth bringing up an article that you have that I think it's something along the lines of, you'll never be the best a girl has ever had.
You're never going to be the best. I'm not the best. Well, I'm the best you've ever fucking had. That's because you haven't had a lot of sexual experience. And the experience you had at the start was like just a couple of casual fucking one-night stands. But for the most part, every girl that we sleep with, I don't expect to be the best. Some of them, sure, I might be. But I don't expect it. And you shouldn't either. And so when you're saying this word, or when you're having it's not about the word. It's not that you called some girls some sluts. Who gives a shit? It's that you're having such a visceral reaction to it. And every time I see someone use the word slut, it is a very visceral, emotional reaction that they're having. They're not just casually saying like, oh, I don't really want to fuck girls that are, a bit slutty. It's not my thing.
Because in the article that we read, it came off as very insecure because I think it then followed up with, and they're going to cheat on you and break up with you.
Yes.
And it was like, fuck, okay.
Brilliant.
Someone's got some baggage.
I'm glad you brought that point up because those are the fears. Those are the insecurities. I won't be able to keep a slut around. That is the biggest fucking insecurity. I won't be the best, and why would she stick around? Because there's guys that have bigger dicks, they're cooler, more muscles, more abs, more money, any of this kind of shit. So why would she stick around with fucking little old me? She's a slut. She's had a bunch of sex. She's not going to be loyal. You hide it behind, or you project onto her and say she's not loyal. She's not going to stick around. She can't commit. She's a fucking train wreck. She's emotional. She's going to be this, that, and the other. She can't stick around. She would never settle down. She's not wife material. What you're doing is projecting that you don't think you can keep her around. And again, I was in this exact position. This was me. I used to use the word sluts all the time, and I had to do some fucking soul searching when a couple of mates called me out and said, why do you keep giving a shit how much sexual experience a girl has, especially when you're trying to just have sex with them? Why are you so insecure about their sexual history? And I had to do some soul searching, and it's because I am not confident in my own sexual experience. I'm not confident that I can do a decent job with them. I'm not confident that I'll be the best. In fact, I know I'm probably not the best. That makes me feel shit. The girls that have had a lot of sexual experience are like holding up a mirror to my own inadequacies, and that doesn't make me comfortable. So I'll go and fuck this girl who's only slept with one guy. Or I'll go and meet the virgin because she's not going to say that I'm doing a bad job.
Yeah. And I mean, ultimately, like the point of, I think, talking about this is, yes, it can deal with your own insecurity, and just any negative feelings you have around it, but also it means that if you're more open to sexual experiences with girls who are a little bit more casual with sex, you're letting, and if you're somebody that wants to have more sex, you're opening yourself up to those experiences rather than closing off that and be like, I can't sleep with her or her or her or her. When those by definition
are going to be your bread and butter.
Are the people that are going to be more open to having sex with you.
Which is hilarious because you're putting out, and again, if you decide that you want, so if your mission in life is to just have a wife and kids, like nothing else, you don't even want to have sex before marriage, like, first of all, why would you be listening to my content? I know I do self-improvement content and stuff like that, so maybe you're listening for that, but this video isn't aimed at you. Don't watch this video. It's not going to mean anything to you. For the rest of you that want to have casual sex or maybe date a little bit, maybe some serial monogamy, whatever it is, you girls that have had sexual experience are the ones that you want to seek out. Why not? Or at least be open to them. Sure, find some less experienced girls if you want to feel a little less insecure, get a little bit of practice. I did that shit. I sought out a lot of Asian girls so that I could get some practice with girls who hadn't had a lot of a sexual experience so that I wouldn't feel like I was letting them down, of course. But we're talking about having a very visceral or emotional attachment to the word sluts and to the feeling of, you know, oh, she's a slut. Like, what a slut. I want to avoid sluts, don't I? It's like, first of all, like the fact that you're having such a strong reaction that you would use a word like slut, like a slur. It's a slur. It is a slur by definition. I'm not saying don't use it. It's not up to me to dictate what language you use, but whenever you feel the need to use a slur towards another human being, think about like what those reasons are. Like what's coming up there? Why do you want to use that word? Why are you having such a strong reaction? And I think for most of you, if you're honest with yourself, you will go through the same sort of process I had to go through where I figured like, okay, it's me. Like, I'm insecure. I'm not happy with my sexual experience.
Yeah. And yeah, it's exactly it. Like the point of saying all of this is like you just said, it's not about, you know, censoring language. It's about, there's this, you're using something in a way that doesn't make you feel good.
Correct.
You're having a negative association with this, and you probably want girls who have had a lot more sex. Like, you just want that to be a preference. You're like, no, like that's probably not somebody that I'm looking for, opposed to it being this like, she's an evil, bad person, like gross, disgusting.
There's
like,
something wrong with her because she's had a lot of sex. And it's like, but that's, you know, and that's ignoring the whole, we could have a huge discussion about like the hypocrisy of that. And I'm not going to go too deep on that because I know the next comment would be, well, it's different. Men and women are different. Like, I agree. But you're specifically looking for sex. Don't you want to have sex with people that have had sex? Yeah. Like,
not every man can have lots of sex with only
there aren't
virgins.
infinite virgins out there. Like, it just doesn't work like that. And if your mission at the moment is to get more sexual experience, to get more practice, even just to date for a little bit and stuff like that before you settle down, you want girls that have had some sex. Like, sure, I would never tell anyone to go and have sex with a party girl who has sex with fucking 50 guys a week and, you know, lives a crazy fucking bipolar lifestyle. I'm not saying to do that. That's like one end of the spectrum, and I think guys will do that. They will ascribe, like a girl would have had a little bit of sexual experience, and they'll ascribe all these things, like she probably isn't loyal, she's probably, you know, all this projection. She's probably out there fucking 50 other guys, she's going to cheat on me, she's going to leave me, she'll fuck me once or twice and then ditch me. You have to understand that those are insecurities, and I had those insecurities myself, so I completely understand. That's the point of this podcast, is to get you thinking about this stuff, to get you thinking, why do I have such a strong reaction when a girl has had some sex? Like, even if she's had a lot of sex. Again, we're not talking something crazy. Like, if a girl has had sex with 300 guys, yes, probably don't have sex with her.
I think that speaks to some biggie issues.
I would almost say the exact same in reverse, too. Girls, if you meet a guy that's had sex with fucking 500 women, let's just use that. Like, probably assume it's just going to be really casual sex. Like, I wouldn't be but even then, it's like you don't have to run the other direction. Just at least be a little more realistic about what's probably going to happen. You're probably going to bang a couple times and then, you know, he'll move on to the next girl. Same thing here. And I think that, again, it's like projection. It's like, well, I don't want to just have sex with her once or twice and then she leaves me and breaks my heart. That, again, is a reflection on you. Like, go into this being a little more realistic. And again, not every girl who's had sex with, you know, a bunch of guys is going to just immediately break your fucking heart. We do live in the age of Tinder and online dating and divorce rates at whatever percent they are. Like, monogamy is basically, I won't say dead because I don't believe that, but monogamy is basically like a fucking
unicorn
backseat thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's worth. I mean, it's you always like talking, but like self-fulfilling prophecy that
Yeah.
if you're labeling girls sluts, you're going to make it so that she doesn't stick around.
Yeah, if
and that
you
so she's
literally
not
think she's
loyal,
a fucking
because
slut, why would she stick around? That's
course.
not a nice thing. And even if you don't say it, you could say, oh, but Andy, I wouldn't tell her that. It's like, yeah, but you're putting out those fucking vibes.
Yeah.
People aren't stupid. They can tell what you think about them.
Yep.
Versus if you go like, oh, she's had a fair bit of sex. Like, that's cool. I'll ask her what she's tried. I'll see if she can teach me something. We can explore. Use it as a learning experience or as a chance to practice. So if you meet a girl that's had a fair bit of sex, and again, most of the time, what we're talking about here, when guys say sluts, they don't even mean a girl that's had sex with like 100 fucking guys or something in the last year. They mean a chick that's just had sex with fucking 10 guys or something. Or they mean a girl that has sex on the first date. That's not a fucking slut, for God's sakes. I don't like the word slut anyway, but because it means nothing. But that's not a fucking slut. But when you do meet a girl that has sex with you on the first date, be like, fucking awesome. She's not going to have hang-ups about sex. I can try a bunch of kinky shit with her. I can say to her, hey, what's on your sexual bucket list? And that was a question I used to be terrified of. I used to be terrified to ask girls, what's on your sexual bucket list? Because I was terrified of what they might say. What if they say something I can't handle? Everything they say is just going to make me feel insecure because it's all stuff I haven't tried or stuff I wouldn't know how to do. You have to let go of that shit. Remember that Google is a thing. Porn websites are a fucking thing. If you're doing no porn like I am right now, fine, don't go on the porn websites, but you can Google shit. And so if there's something on a bucket list, you can Google, how do I do this? Or you can just fucking say to her, I haven't tried this. Seems like you've tried it. Like, do you want to fucking show me what to do? We can mess around, try it together. That'd be cool. Like, I'd like to learn that with you. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to fucking hide in your head and go, oh, I'm insecure, I haven't tried that, she's a slut, fucking, I don't know how I can keep up, like, she's going to leave me. Take a deep breath, remind yourself you don't have to be perfect, you're not going to be super fucking confident and experienced at the start if you don't have much sexual experience, and fucking learn. Anything else you want to add, madam?
No, I think...
Other than you like sluts.
I don't like that word.
You don't like sluts? You don't like sluts?
Well, we just discussed how that word doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it is such a nonsense word, isn't it? It really doesn't fucking mean anything. It really is just a projection. And like I said, I get it. I that was me. I won't belabor that point too much, but that was me. I used to use the word all the time. I was terrified of sluts. Yeah. You know, even just like weird irrational fears. I guess we didn't talk about this, but I used to think like, oh, but what if I get an STD? And it's like, for fuck's sake. So guys, go to markmanson.com. Shout outs to my boy Mark Manson, and search for your honest to God STD, your honest to God guide to STDs. Just search for Mark Manson STDs. And he has an article about your chances of catching an STD. I literally went and got a fucking checkup the other day. What did I have?
Chlamydia.
I had fucking chlamydia. What does that fucking matter? Fixed in like, what, 5 days? You didn't catch it. You're completely clean, so I didn't even fucking pass it to you. We don't use condoms ever. Fucking cleaned in like one pill, took one pill, done. Go back, hey, follow up, everything's perfect, cool. That's like the worst thing. That I spoke to the doctor. I've spoken to so many fucking STD doctors about this shit. And the guy today, the guy yesterday even said, in the last 5 years, I have never seen anyone with a bad case of actual fucking STDs, like HIV or syphilis. And all the rest are basically a fucking joke. Yeah. Which they are. Any decent STD clinic will fucking tell you that. The rest are just curable with one fucking pill. So calm the fuck down on the STD thing with sluts. Obviously, wear condoms. Make that clear.
Sure. I think something that you mentioned actually, and it's worth noting that women use the word slut as well.
Oh,
and
women are fucking bitches with the word slut.
Yeah, and again, it's the exact same thing. It's coming from a place of insecurity. Yeah,
she's so cool. She gets a lot of sex. She can hook up whenever she wants.
Guys like her, and you call her a slut, and it's usually just the girl who looks great because she has her tits out and her makeup's done really well, and you call her a slut because she's really pretty. And I'm insecure about it. And it's, I'm definitely, like, I'll put my hand up and say that I've been a culprit of using the word slut when I was a lot younger, like in like high school.
You fucking cunt. You evil fuck. This is getting demonetized now that I called you a cunt. Although I think it already was because by the way, like, how much money have I made? This is a side tangent. How much money have I made from YouTube? I think like $15 ever. I was going to say, like, because all my videos are demonetized. So yeah, you've used the word slut.
Yeah, and again, when women use it, it's, again, very insecure place.
Yeah, it's never said from and again, this is why I say, guys, I'm sure I will get some people watching this and thinking like, oh, but I just don't like girls that have had lots of sexual experience. Fine, like, That's fine. We're talking about people who use the word sluts specifically, or if you have a strong reaction to a girl who's had lots of sex and you go, oh, she's fucking slut. Like, I got to avoid sluts. If you're having such a strong reaction, that's the issue. There are plenty of people outside. If I go outside, I can list you fucking 500 types of people I don't like. A million different people. I don't... Huh?
I said probably don't need to. I mean, that's like a whole nother
Let's
tangent.
list them all right here. Black people, Asian people, white people, brown people. I'm just listing everyone. So you can't call me racist. It reminds me of this edgy friend that I had in high school who used to say, you know, I'm not racist. I hate everyone. It's like, oh my God, you're fucking like so edgy. You're like 14 years old.
Like on a little Tumblr post.
Yeah, I
with,
know,
like, some
right?
sort of like edgy writing. Yeah.
Reminds me of the other thing he used to say. My mother told me that when I grew up, I could be anything I wanted. So I chose to be an asshole. And you're just like, oh, dude. Like,
that's really cool. You read that on the internet.
Yeah, I know.
And you're like,
This
cool.
was fucking, he made the internet. He's so cool. Anyway, back on topic. I could go outside and list 500 different people that I don't like, but I don't have like a huge fucking strong reaction when I see them. I fucking hate fat people. There you go. I wouldn't even say I hate fat people. I don't like fat people. I don't, however, see a fat person and have a visceral reaction. I'll see them and I'll just be like, that's a shame. Like, and that's it. I don't go like, oh, disgusting. Like, don't fucking talk to me, fatty. Like, that's disgusting. You're gross. I don't like people who wear masks. I don't like any of that shit. I don't like anyone who's been vaccinated. This is definitely getting fucking demonetized now. I'm getting banned from YouTube. If you want to get vaccinated, you should all get vaccinated, and we all follow the code of YouTube, and we do the YouTube terms and conditions, and make sure you follow the experts.
Not just YouTube. It's
believe
like
the science,
global.
unless it's like the wrong type of science. Believe the science that the government puts out and the experts, everything. Anyway, I don't see those people and go, ugh, just fucking don't talk to me. You're a fucking sheep. Like, why would I have that? If I had, and I did have that strong reaction last year, that says more about me. And I had to talk to counselors. I had to read books on letting go. That says more about me as a human being than them. If you have such a strong reaction to another human being who has made a lifestyle choice or something, again, we're not talking about them impacting you. That's different. If a girl comes up to you and she's had a bunch of sex and she tries to rub her fucking pussy juice on you in public, yeah, that's pretty fucking bad. But if she's just had a bunch of sex outside of you, no bearing on you, she's been honest with you about it, or you can tell from, I don't know, whatever, how she talks, that she's being honest about it, that shouldn't have, or if you have such a strong visceral reaction to it, that says more about you. And so I would do some soul searching, look deep and say, what's going on here? Like, why am I having these? Is it insecurity? As Andy said, is it something else? Do I just not like girls that have had a lot of sexual experience? If so, that's fine. Just obviously don't have such a strong fucking reaction. Those emotions are there for a reason. Dig a little deep. I think you'll find there's a lot of healing and self-improvement to be found through digging through that. And there are a lot of actionable steps you can take, like get better at sex, practice, just try and be a little more open-minded. You know, have sex with some girls with more sexual experience so you can get better and feel like you can match them. At this point, I don't think I'm ever going to feel like I can't match any woman. I mean, that'd be hilarious at this point, but like, if a girl came up to us and said she's had sex with 50 guys, I'd be like, cool, sweet. Like, you know, should we try some shit together? Whereas if you took me back 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I met that girl, deal breaker, like absolute fucking deal breaker. Because like I wouldn't be able to keep up. So I'm not saying you have to go out and fuck 50 chicks, but if you feel that strongly, maybe just wait until you try and be open-minded in the meantime, but maybe wait till you get to a point, or I suspect when you get to a point where you've had more experience, you won't feel that strongly. You won't use the word sluts. Like I said, bring it back to what I said at the start of the podcast. Every single friend I have ever had who has had a lot of sexual experience does not use the word slut. It just doesn't make sense. It's not a word that means anything. It comes from a place of insecurity. So next time you find yourself using the word sluts or feeling like that, ask yourself, like, where's this coming from? Like what can I do to work on this? Anything you want to shout out? Do you want to shout out to some sluts? Some sluts you know? I'll shout out to some sluts. Us. We're a pair of sluts, so.
Sure.
Right, go out there and crush. What do they need to crush?
Their
Say
goals.
it right to the camera. Say it.
You need to go out there and crush your goals.
Yep. Always take advice from women as well. Women give the best advice, guys. There's a lot of red pill people that would have just like seen you say that and be like, I'm specifically not going to crush my goals now because a girl told me to do that. Fuck her. Fuck all women. Women are gross.